Welcome back to Liquid Plays. We are still doing that 500 subscriber giveaway. It's over $200 worth of gaming gear, and you can find a link in the description telling you how you are eligible to win. Today we're going to talk about World War II zombies and the fact that this version of the game will be based on real events. A couple days ago on Twitter, my boy Charlie Intel dropped this awesome tweet showing some pictures and some comments out of Edge magazine. The exact quote is, "There is some really authentic stuff in there. There's a backstory that's based on real events." Now, I don't know if you guys get as creeped out on horror movies as I do whenever it's actually something that was based on real events, but Nazi Zombies has always been a pretty scary game, pretty tough to play. Definitely difficult to play at night at 2 in the morning. So not only is the fact that it's Nazi Zombies already scary, but it's based on real events, and the people that worked on Dead Space are actually also working on this part of World War II. It adds to the creep factor, but today we're going to talk about some of the real events that we could be seeing going on in World War II zombies. Now, the Nazi Party and Hitler himself were very, very into the occult. And I'm sure you've seen movies or watched TV shows where they talk about the fact that Hitler was looking for supernatural and religious and occult artifacts to help him win the war. There's even movies like Indiana Jones where he's fighting against Nazis almost the entire time because they're trying to find stuff to help them win the war. You go to TV shows like Legends of Tomorrow, where the legends are actually going back in time to stop a mysterious, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but a mysterious foe for getting a spear of destiny, which is the spear that pierced the side of Christ at the crucifixion. It's also called the staff or the spear of Longinus because that was the Roman soldier that was tasked with doing that. And supposedly the spear is, I think it was also in the movie Constantine. Maybe I'm completely wrong off of that one. But the spear apparently can, either give life or take life or make you immortal or all these things because it touched Christ's blood, and people that don't believe Jesus is actually the Son of God but still believe some of those things. I don't ever understand that. But Hitler actually sent a whole bunch of his Nazi crew to Tibet to look for the abominable snowman. He sent other people off to Ethiopia to steal the Ark of the Covenant, which again is where we get the Indiana Jones kind of thing going on. And it is certainly believable that Hitler believed that the Ghent altarpiece, which is an awesome German oil painting, was very, very much like National Treasure with Nicolas Cage. Hitler believed that it had inside of it, or the layout of the artwork or on the back of it, thought there was a map to a very, very magical land called Thule. And Thule was this like Middle Earth kind of Lord of the Rings place where Hitler believed that the original Aryan race came from. He actually believed that there was an entrance to this world, and in this world there were telepathic giants and fairies, which were the start or the forefathers, the ancestors to the Aryan race. Hitler believed that by breeding with this original Aryan race that he could get back those giant powers and telepathic powers that the Aryan race lost through mixed breeding with, as he calls it, lesser species. If you've ever seen the movie Monument Men, you know that there was a lot of these awesome military guys that were going around trying to restore artwork that the Nazis had stolen. Hitler was trying to capture a whole bunch of artwork. He had thousands, tens of thousands of pieces of artwork he was going to put inside of Germany in a city-size museum. But on April 28th, 1945, in a munitions depot called Berthenode, there was like 40,000 tons of ammunition found inside of this mine shaft. And while the soldiers, the Allied forces, were looking through this mine shaft and they found all this munitions and stuff, they found this brick wall which was barely plastered over. The plaster wasn't completely dry yet. And they start breaking down this brick wall, and they found out that it was 5 feet thick of brick and mortar. And so these military officers, whenever they broke down this 5 feet thick wall, they found vaults and hallways of Nazi regalia. We're talking uniforms, we're talking banners, we're talking more ammunition, okay? And it's all behind this 5 foot thick wall that the Nazis had put there. And we're talking like huge long hallways with tables and food stored up, but it's all sealed up. Are you with me? But in a separate chamber inside of this, walled off 4 or 5 feet wall thick with all the Nazi stuff, they found a very, very creepy, ghoulish area. And they found 4 coffins. One of the coffins was from the 17th century Prussian king Frederick the Great, and then Field Marshal von Hindenburg and his wife. And the Nazis had a whole bunch of human relics all around these coffins, but the 4th coffin was empty, and engraved on it was who was supposed to be placed in it. And it was engraved Adolf Hitler. The question is why did they have these 4 coffins all locked away behind this 5-foot huge wall with halls and stuff of Nazi regalia, uniforms, ammunition, food supplies and stuff, in this empty coffin where they were going to put Hitler? The only belief that people had was that the Nazis believed that they could raise Hitler from the dead if he ever died, and bring him back at a time when they needed him to lead the armies again, or to create some kind of supernatural army. We really don't know, but that was one of the ideas that came out of that. It was actually a Life magazine article written in 1950. But we start getting into the really creepy part was where the Nazis were trying to test the boundaries of human limits. They wanted to know the survival threshold of Nazi soldiers and what they could push them to the brink. They wanted to see how high in elevation their planes could climb before, they passed out or the soldiers died. And so they actually did oxygen deprivation tests on their own soldiers and, of course, on captured prisoners of war. They would place prisoners in a low-pressure chamber and remove as much oxygen as they could, and to see at what levels the oxygen got low that the prisoners' organs began to fail. But some of the most infamous experiments were when they were trying to see how low someone's body temperature could go before they died. So they would take prisoners and they would lower their body temperatures down to about 25 degrees. And they found this out because they would actually stick a thermometer up their patootie. And they wanted to see what it was like, or if it was possible to resuscitate a nearly frozen human. And it was quickly discovered, again, at 25 degrees Celsius, that the prisoners would undergo unconsciousness, their body would start to shut down, and of course they would die. So these people were frozen and were brought back to life. They were frozen to the point of almost being dead, and then brought back to life in very, very gruesome ways. I mean, they would dump these 25 degrees Celsius people that were about to die into boiling hot water to quickly raise their temperature back up. Well, there's some other ways that they tried to raise their body temperature up, which I can't really say because I don't want to get my channel flagged for inappropriate stuff, but you can read up on that kind of things if you guys are up to that. In November 1944, they actually started working on an experimental drug called D1X. They would give D1X to some prisoners and would force them to carry 20 kilos of material and to march for upwards of 90 kilometers a day. And they were able to do it. It increased their stamina, made them crazy awake. The pill D1X actually had Pervitin in it, cocaine, and a whole bunch of other drugs like morphine for pain, so they didn't even feel themselves walking so far. And they could march for crazy long, and they were just lasting long. And they were using this to test. They were kind of creating a super soldier with this drug, this pill. It would just make them beasts. And so with all of this, they're doing experimentations with cryogenics. They're doing experimentations with pills and drugs and stuff like that. They're actually trying to, their whole idea was to breed tall, blue-eyed, blonde people with other tall, blue-eyed, blonde people to create a master, powerful race. They have these coffins where they're trying to, again, store Nazi stuff behind a locked tomb with food and ammunitions and all this stuff. There's a lot of real-life events that World War II Zombies by Call of Duty could be based on, and I'm kind of creeped out where they could go with it. And I keep going back, my brain, my mind keeps going back to this idea of busting down that 5-foot brick wall and finding just a tall hallway with all these Nazi flags hanging and stuff in there. And I know World War II, Call of Duty, Sledgehammer games, I know that they can't really put Nazi flags inside of the game, and I understand that. I know a lot of people out there are mad at Sledgehammer for not being authentic with the game, authentic with the game, and they're just mad that they're putting women in the fight and all this stuff. The thing is, we have to understand now as gamers is to make money, you've got to be kind of politically correct. And I know that a lot of people are going to be up in arms against that, but you cannot sell any kind of merchandise inside of Germany with the Nazi flag. It is illegal, and that would be, the entire country of Germany would be a huge revenue for Sledgehammer, for Activision, for this game to be sold. And so not putting Nazi swastikas in there is actually probably a good thing. They can put the Iron Cross and some other things in there, but the idea of them actually using the SS logo or the swastika is probably not going to happen. But I just get creeped out with this idea of World War II zombies and being based on real life events. Again, if you guys like what I'm doing here, my name is Liquid. Don't follow your dreams, follow my YouTube.